Welcome to Science Access. In today's class, we're going to be talking about Brugia malayi, a filarial worm. If you know you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe. Now, Brugia malayi is actually a filarial worm, which are nematodes that resides in the lymphatic system, and the causes disease is one of the causative organism of the popular disease filariasis or lymphatic filariasis. The vector for this disease is actually, or for this organism, is actually the mosquito. We have three species of the mosquito that are usually vectors to this parasite, and they are the Anopheles mosquito, the Aedes, and the Marsonia. Though some texts tend to include the Culos, but the three most popular vector, according to recent research, is actually the Anopheles, the Aedes, and the Marsonia species, or these three genera serve as the vector for this particular parasite. Take note of that. It should be noted that this parasite is actually found in the Southeast Asia, such as countries like the Philippines, Malaysia, India, and some other countries in those regions. They are found in that regions. Let's talk about the morphology. Before that, the classification of this parasite is being displayed on the board. Please take note of that. All right. The morphology of this parasite is simple, as they are filarial worms, so you know that they are actually slender, they are tip-like, thread-like, as I usually say, and note the fact that they are usually whitish or translucent, as the case as we may call it. Now, also note the fact that the male are actually smaller than the female, as most filarial worm actually exhibit sexual dimorphism. That means the male are actually different from the female. In this particular case, the male worm have a coiled tail, smaller, while the female actually have a straight tail. Take note of that. They have a larva, definitely, which is called the microfilaria, the filaria worm. Filaria. Take note of that. Let's talk about their epidemiology. As I mentioned earlier, the parasite is actually found or is found in Southeast Asia, in countries like the Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Philippines. It should be noted that Brugia malayi is not as prevalent as Wuchereria bancrofti, which is another filaria worm that causes filariasis. However, globally, millions of people are affected, especially in the rural region. Now, let's talk about the life cycle. The life cycle of Brugia malayi is actually very simple as that of Wuchereria bancrofti. As you can see from the diagram, infected mosquito actually pass or inject this parasite into the bloodstream of human or mammals when they feed on the humans. Now, once they are injected, in the humans, they develop into maturity and pass and reproduce and pass the microfilaria into the blood or stream. Now, note that once the microfilaria is passed into the bloodstream, a new mosquito intermediate host, when they feed on man or other animal, they take this parasite, and the parasite develop inside the mosquito, develop to the L3 stage, which is actually the infective stage, and they are passed back to human or mammal. So it's a very simple process. Now let's talk about the pathogenicity of Brugia malayi. Right? We know that they inhabit or they are released into the lymphatic vessels of man, and in these vessels they actually reproduce and release microfilaria also. So note that this parasite actually can obstruct the lymphatic vessel, causing problems in the body, resulting to inflammation and even tissue damage. Now, human immune response to these foreign bodies can also result to further damage being caused in the body. Take note of that. All right. Now, let's just take a look at some of their symptoms. In many cases, this parasitic infection is actually asymptomatic in some cases, but however, we have some acute symptoms such as fever, manifestation. Then we also have um, uh, lymphedema, which is swelling of the limbs. We have the hydrocele, swelling of the genital. Now, in severe or chronic cases, we can have other serious challenge such as even the elephantiasis appearing, and which is the extreme case where you have the swollen leg as being displayed on the screen. So please take note of that. Now, how do you diagnose this parasitic infection? One of the easiest ways is through microscopy or the direct blood, collecting blood sample and examining the blood sample for the presence of microfilaria. It's a very simple way. Then the second one is serological test is also very important. Why we have the imaging where ultrasound is actually used to try to view the image in the lymphatic vessel. Is another way that we can use to detect this parasitic what infection. So how do you treat this parasitic infection? One common effective method for Brugia malayi is actually the diethyl carbamidazole. All right, so it's very effective in tackling Brugia malayi. Ivermectin is also used for filarial worm, though it's not too effective for um, treating Brugia malayi. While we also have the albendazole. All right, albendazole is actually used in combination for with diethyl carbamidazole because it makes it more efficient. So it increases the efficacy of this of the drug. All right, so please take note of that. Let's discuss the prevention and control. All right, just take one of the ways to do that is simple. Just control the vector. All right, control mosquito. How do you control mosquito? Use of insecticide, use of taking care of the local ecology, for example, removing stagnant water where they breed, and using larvicide, kill the larva, all right? So those are actually, then you can also take a protective personal approach where you wear um, clothes that cover your body so that they cannot beat you, all right? You can also use insect repellent and all that. Then you can also public awareness is also a very good method of doing this. Public awareness is very, very important in controlling in endemic area. Why we can, if the disease is also endemic in a particular area, we can use mass administration of this particular drug, just treating everybody as such. So trying to kill off the malaria in the human system there is also another approach that you can use. This is the end of this video. Thanks for watching.